Our university rejects terrorism. That includes the barbaric atrocities perpetrated by Hamas. Our university rejects hate. Hate of Jews, hate of Muslims, hate of any group of people based on their faith, their national origin, or any aspect of their identity.
Harvard President Claudine Gay has finally clarified the university's position after more than 30 student groups signed a pro-Palestinian joint statement, which held the Israeli regime entirely responsible for all the unfolding violence. In the face of Hamas's atrocities, one would have hoped for universal condemnation from US college administrators. Instead, there have been glaring differences in approach, ranging from the University of Florida's model of moral clarity to Harvard's initially equivocating mush.
I was appalled when I saw that letter. You know, when when civilians are being murdered and women are being raped and kids and Holocaust survivors are being kidnapped and held hostage, the last thing you do, the absolute last thing you do is you blame the victim.
One of the first to draw attention to what was unfolding at Harvard was economist Larry Summers, a former president of the university. Taking to X on October 9th, he wrote, "In nearly 50 years of Harvard affiliation, I have never been as disillusioned and alienated as I am today."
Given the number of issues on which leadership at Harvard and other universities have spoken out, to fail to speak out with equal vigor when it is terror towards Israel was, I thought, a real moral failing.
It was October 10th when the president of Harvard, Claudine Gay, released her initial statement in which she said, "Let there be no doubt that I condemn the terrorist atrocities perpetrated by Hamas." Ms. Gay went on to say that while our students have the right to speak for themselves, no student group, not even 30 student groups, speaks for Harvard University or its leadership.
The statement by the president of Harvard said that these students group don't speak for the university. That's not good enough. Such a statement should say that Harvard University condemns such a statement, stating that the Jews who were, beaten, raped, murdered, incinerated alive, that they deserved it. Such a statement is despicable and contrary to the values of Harvard University. Anything less than that statement from any student group or even the university is, in my opinion, not taking it nearly seriously enough.
In contrast, one university president who didn't hold back in his condemnation of Hamas's attack on Israel was Ben Sasse. In an email addressed to Jewish Gator alums at the University of Florida, he wrote, "Sadly, too many people in elite academia have been so weakened by their moral confusion that when they see videos of raped women, hear of a beheaded baby, or learn of a grandmother murdered in her home, the first reaction of some is to provide context and try to blame the raped women, beheaded baby, or the murdered grandmother. In other grotesque cases, they express simple support for the terrorists. This thinking isn't just wrong, it's sickening, it's dehumanizing, it is beneath people called to educate our next generation of Americans."
We don't want 2 states, we want 48! We don't want 2 states, we want 48!
Elsewhere in Florida, and communities in Fort Lauderdale took to the streets, including some protesters who arguably go directly to Mr. Sasse's point.
It's unfortunate civilians have died, but that's the fault of Israel for bringing its civilians into conquered territory.
Way back when?
Way back 1940s, and then in 1967 and so on. I'm a history teacher. I'm a retired history teacher in Broward County. I studied international affairs. That's my first degree, international law. So I'm well acquainted with this issue, unlike the average American, I think, that gets brainwashed by the pro-Israel media.
According to Harvard's newspaper The Crimson, several of the student organizations who signed the PSC statement have now retracted their signatures. The university's position is also much clearer.
Our university embraces a commitment to free expression. That commitment extends even to views that many of us find objectionable, even outrageous. We do not punish or sanction people for expressing such views, but that is a far cry for endorsing them.